This week's Edra contains one of the most remarkable episodes in the whole of Sefer Bereshis. We have Yaakov Avinu, who is described as the quintessential man of truth, Titein Emes Yaakov, colluding with his pious mother, Rivka, to deceive husband and father, who is almost blind, and to wrest the brachos away from Esau. What are we supposed to make of such behavior? Well, first of all, it's absolutely clear. The truth is not simply the regurgitating of facts. Sometimes that could lead to ridiculous conclusions. Picture the following idea. You have a neighbor who's a meshugah. This neighbor has violent tendencies. And you invite a guest who parks 6 inches across your neighbor's drive. A few minutes later, there's a violent knock at your door, and the neighbor is brandishing a machete. Your guest jumps into the broom cupboard, and the neighbor comes into the house. "Where is he?" he shouts. Well, you think to yourself, wait a minute, my mother told me always to tell the truth. So you say, quite accurately, he's in the broom cupboard. Would that be truth? At some level it would be, but it would also be a violent travesty of justice. So what is truth? We all recognize that sometimes we have to obscure the truth for a higher good. And therefore the question over here is not why did they lie, but what was the higher good they were serving that made it justifiable for them to behave in this way. Question number 1. 2 other questions that are raised by Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch. First of all, if you think about it, it was absolutely inevitable that this deceit would become discovered. I mean, Yaakov goes out, Esau comes in. How long would it take for Yitzchak to realize that he had been deceived? They must have anticipated that. Did they really think they could hide it from him for long? Unless, of course, it was part of their plan that the deceit should be uncovered. Part of the whole enterprise. Why should that be? Question number 3, which is, when Esau finally comes in and Yaakov exits stage left, and Yitzchak realizes that he has been deceived in this remarkable and dramatic way, his first reaction is, Gam Baruch Yehiyeh. Let him, the person who came in previously, Yaakov, let him also be blessed. He doesn't curse him, he doesn't retract the bracha, he just says, Gam Baruch Yehiyeh. He endorses the bracha. So what's going on over here? Rav Hirsch explains as follows. We all know, both from the Parashat and from the Medrash, that Yitzchak and Rivka viewed their son Esau differently. Yitzchak saw Esau as a man of potential, and to a certain degree did not see the violent, aggressive side of Esau. Rivka knew what her son was. He'd already married 2 Hittite women by this time, who were Ovdei Avodah Zarah. The Medrash reports that there were constant rumors of his violent activity, and so they saw their own son very, very differently. You can only speculate as to what the debate was in their house around the supper table, where Yitzchak says to Rivka, give him a chance. And Rivka says, what do you mean? I know he's my son, but I'm afraid you are being deceived. You don't know the truth about him. I know the truth about him. And Yitzchak might have responded, do you think I could be so easily deceived? Is that what you think? That I don't know my own son? Now, perhaps for many years this was an academic debate, but there came a moment where it was no longer academic, but it was critical. Not just for their family, but for the legacy of Klal Yisrael. This was the moment where Yitzchak was to bless his son and to hand over the future promises to his son to be an heir. Rivka realized that if she didn't manage to persuade Yitzchak of the real facts now, then she would have lost a crucial opportunity and history would be different. How was she supposed to do that? In fact, on reflection, there was only one way. The only way was to show Yitzchak how easily he could be deceived. So they arranged this whole trick. Rivka dressing Yaakov up as Esau. And that is why when Yitzchak finally realizes what's happened, his first reaction is, oh my goodness, all those conversations of years gone by came flooding back. And his first reaction is, Gam Baruch Yehiyeh, I'm not taking away the bracha. The bracha belongs to him. Now at this moment, he realized that Rivka had been right and he had been misled. He had been erroneous, and the brachas belonged justifiably to Yaakov. And that's why, of course, yes, they wanted the deceit to be unraveled. That was part of the process. They wanted Yitzchak to realize that it was possible for him to be duped. So I leave you with a question, a rhetorical question, to contemplate. At the end of the whole process, when we think of it, was this the perversion of truth, or perhaps more accurately, the restoration of the truth as it was supposed to be?